Welcome to the RuleBook. I'm your host, Alex Palmer, and I'm the queen of learning things the hard way so you don't have to. On this podcast, we're talking about the mistakes I made and the lessons I learned along the way to create the rules I now live by. On each episode, we'll be discussing a new rule, how I created it, why it came about, and how you can apply it in your own life. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the RuleBook, everybody. This is episode number 27. I hope that you guys are enjoying your holiday weekend. This episode will be dropping on a Tuesday instead of a Monday because of the holiday. This week, so many things went down in the news. Tina Turner passed away, RIP to a queen. My mom listened to her music and was a huge fan, so I grew up listening to her. Proud Mary all day. So that was very sad. But I think one of the most interesting things that happened this week was the fact that Ron DeSantis announced that he'd be running for president, but he didn't do it on Fox News. He did it over a Twitter live stream conversation with none other than Elon Musk. This wasn't Musk endorsing him for president, but it wasn't him not endorsing him for president. You know what I'm saying? I was honestly shocked to see that Elon Musk did that because I thought he was all about free speech, and it's the whole reason he bought Twitter. And I found it really interesting when I was reading all these articles that no one really touched on the fact that Ron DeSantis is like king of censorship these days, where he's literally removing children's books from libraries if he doesn't like them. And he's retaliated against Disney. And yet Elon Musk, who bought Twitter under the premise of wanting to reinstate free speech on the platform, is here giving this dude a stage. Rule number 27, it's all about who you know. Obviously, Ron DeSantis could have went on any Fox News show and announced his bid, but it's so much more interesting that he chose to do it on social media, and he chose to do it on Twitter with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a politician, but he does pull the strings because he has 353 million users in his back pocket. And I guess hundreds of thousands of people tuned into the live stream, which isn't that great, but he's going to be hosting Tucker Carlson's show, and we all know that Tucker Carlson is going to get even more views than that. So Twitter is really becoming like a conservative platform. And because Musk has all this money and he has all this power, and clearly he has the viewers, he has the views, and he has the users, that should tell you something. Obviously, the choices for Republicans, the choices between DeSantis and Trump. But who's pulling the strings? It looks like it's Elon Musk. And DeSantis is someone who, he's the governor of Florida, but he's also known as a little mini Trump. He's someone that Trump apparently created in certain ways. And now he's fully eclipsing the former president. So this should be an interesting showdown. Trump is obviously so busy being sued by everyone and their mother. And until recently, Trump had not been on Fox News for almost 100 days, or it was exactly 100 days, something like that. So this is clearly the time for DeSantis to strike. Truly, this rule obviously goes beyond politics. Everything boils down to who you know. Job applications, job interviews, colleges, getting the right recommendations from the right people. And even beauty pageants. As you guys know, I used to compete in beauty pageants. It feels like it was 100 years ago, and it was obviously a different Alex. But in my final pageant, the pageant that made me never want to do another pageant again, I was first runner-up in Miss New York, USA. Fun fact, Donald Trump used to own the Miss USA pageant until they kicked his ass out. So at that time, he was not political, but I was running for Miss New York, USA. And anyway, I was first runner-up, and apparently I lost by 1 point. But I didn't lose to just anybody. I lost to someone who had never done a pageant before. I lost to someone who, was sort of a dark horse, if you will. I had done 3 other pageants, and each pageant, I went from top 20 to top 10 to first runner-up. So it was something that you have to learn how to do to really be good at it. At least that was my experience. This person sort of came out of nowhere. And fun fact, baby, she was from New Jersey. So if that's not enough to rattle you, I don't know what is. But anyway, after the pageant happened, instead of me being able to sulk and lick my wounds in private, numerous people decided to tell me that they heard the process was actually corrupt. And actually, the directors of the pageant that year were fired for corruption, for taking bribes, but they didn't say specifically for what, whatever. And there were a lot of people who came out against them. But it was difficult for me to hear that because many people also suggested that she knew judges or that there was money exchanged. And this whole thing with Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis really reminds me of that. Because if this girl who won Miss New York USA did know people in the pageant, it wasn't fair. And so do I think it's not fair that Ron DeSantis went on a Twitter live stream? It kind of isn't, right? Because it's not fair that Elon Musk is making Twitter impartial. It's not fair. I mean, I guess at one point Zuckerberg was doing this, but honestly, it's kind of fucked up. So I'm going to need Bezos to hop the fuck off that yacht and come swim to shore and start helping my boy Biden. Because what's going on here? If everything does boil down to who you know, and you can never really have a fair fight or be on an equal playing field as your opponent, then what's the fucking point? It's all bullshit, right? I hate that this is a rule. It makes me sad that it's all about who you know, because it shouldn't be that way. Even in acting, right? We all know that it's the Nepo babies who go on to have the careers that actors who toil away or singers who toil away in the shadows can never reach that level of fame because they don't have the platform, because they don't have the connections. And I'm really sick of life working this way. Because obviously it's not a level playing field. It's not fair to those of us who don't have connections. And it's not fair to those of us who don't want to fight that way. I'm not someone who likes to fight dirty. Even after people told me all this information, it's not like I did anything. I thought about it. I really didn't know what to do. I was 22 at the time. I didn't know what to do with that information. And some of the people who did reach out to me were people who were part of the production crew. And when I asked them what I should do, I was told there's nothing I could do. And that sucks. Because those of us who don't know someone end up getting screwed, even when it's not what should have happened. It's not right. And this is the thing. I never did another pageant again, because obviously that put such a bad fucking taste in my mouth that I was like, what's the point? And it sucks because I think instead of weeding out people who don't deserve it, this sort of system that's being upheld in all these numerous spaces weeds out people who could probably do some good. It weeds out leaders who could potentially make positive changes. It sucks. It weeds out the talent. And that's the last thing that anyone should want. Even with this podcast, I know I don't get a lot of views. I know it's new. But I don't think that I don't get a lot of views because I'm bad at this. I just think I don't have the platform. And even if you don't know someone in your industry or your field and you feel like, oh, I'm never going to get to where I want to get to, I don't think you should let that stop you. You can find creative ways to be seen. And hopefully we can start to dismantle this rule about it being all about who you know. Because even Trump, right? Even Trump, he won because of his popularity. He won because he was the host of The Apprentice. He and people liked him and they knew him and they thought he was cool. And he had this reputation of being like this awesome businessman. And I guess that gave him a lot of credibility with voters. And then he got into the White House and things started to sort of unravel and his reputation unraveled and the more and more things came out about him. And you see that it was all bullshit, that Trump wasn't even paying his workers. He wasn't paying contractors. He would build these hotels and then not pay the people who built them. But it's all about public perception. It's all about the platform. It's all about who you know. So even if you don't know someone, you know this. So start building what you can with what you have and start putting yourself out there and start networking, I guess. And maybe you'll be able to find the right people to back you up, because unfortunately that is what we're up against. I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm not a Republican, which I think is clear. But if you are, tell me who you're going to vote for. I'm curious. Who do you want to be the candidate? Let me know. I'm just curious. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Rule Book. Check me out next week, next Monday, and follow me at Serious Actress across all platforms. Bye, guys.